Have you ever breezed through TSA like a pro, and then out of nowhere you hear, "That $500 smart suitcase? Not going through." And that's the worst airport spot, because you can't exactly ditch an expensive suitcase with all your stuff inside. In 2026, the newer scanners catch batteries instantly, so I'm breaking down 9 electronics that get people pulled aside, delayed, and sometimes forced to surrender or leave behind. And don't skip number 6. It's not some big tech gadget. It's something people toss in their bag without thinking. Most of the time, TSA isn't trying to be difficult. These are safety rules that got tighter after 9/11, and once you know them, getting through security gets way easier. Alright, smart luggage first, because it's what TSA cares about most. And the easiest way to get stuck at the checkpoint? Smart luggage is how people lose real money fast. All it takes is one question. Can the lithium battery come out? If you can't say, "Yep, right now," you're suddenly negotiating with your own suitcase. What matters in 2026 is this. Spare lithium batteries are the big worry under the plane. So they'll want that battery up in the cabin with you because your bag can get gate checked with zero warning. And removable means removable on the spot. No tools, no messing around. If you need a tiny screwdriver, that suitcase just turned into an airport problem. Quick test at home. Open the battery compartment. Can you pull it out with your hands in 10 seconds? If not, don't bet your trip on getting someone easygoing at the checkpoint. And here's the annoying part. Some of these bags were designed before TSA got stricter about smart luggage batteries. So the setup is awkward. That outside USB port usually connects to a battery buried inside an inner pocket. If you don't know exactly where it is, you'll be digging through your bag while the line stacks up behind you. Best move? Travel with the suitcase. Dumb. Take the battery out before you leave, keep it in your carry-on, pack it so it can't short or turn on. And check your airline's rules too. Some are definitely stricter than others. Alright, smart luggage handled. Next up is something almost everyone carries, and if you mess it up, it can absolutely cost you your flight. Power banks are the most normal thing in a travel bag, and that's exactly why people get careless with them. In 2025, there were a few power bank fires on board, and they got handled in time. If something like that happens in the cargo hold, that's a whole different nightmare. That's why power banks are an absolute no-go in checked luggage. And here's the part people forget. If your carry-on gets gate checked at the last second, you need to pull the power bank out first and keep it with you. Don't let it ride under the plane by accident. Now, you might feel like yours is totally fine. Cool. Answer this without flipping it over. What's the watt-hour rating? Most people know the general rule, but the numbers matter. Under 100 watt-hours is usually fine. Between 101 and 160 watt-hours is that awkward middle zone where the airline may want approval. Over 160 watt-hours? Most of the time, it's not flying with you. And just to be crystal clear, those numbers only apply if it's in your carry-on. If it's checked, it doesn't matter if it's 1 watt-hour. It's still not allowed. But the real trap is the label. If TSA can't quickly read the watt-hours on the device, they're not going to guess. I've seen someone pull out a power bank like it was a VIP pass. I've flown with this 100 times. The agent flips it around, can't find a clear watt-hour marking, and the traveler walks away, but the power bank doesn't, because their mindset is basically better to take it than risk it. So here's how you avoid that situation. Buy one with the watt-hours printed clearly on the body. If the label is worn off or peeling, swap it. Don't count on anyone being understanding. And don't tape a bunch of power banks together into one mysterious mega brick that looks homemade. That's just asking for extra attention. One more international note that matters a lot. If you're flying from or transiting through mainland China, especially on domestic segments, your power bank may need a clearly visible CCC or 3C marking to get through security. So it's not just about the rules where you start. You have to be good for your transit, airport, and your destination too. All right, next up is the one that gets photographers, drone people, and the I brought backups for everything crowd pulled aside the most. Loose, spare, lithium batteries. Loose spare batteries are where a lot of I'm prepared travelers accidentally create the exact kind of risk security hates. In your head, it makes perfect sense. Extra camera batteries, extra drone batteries, backups for a long day. But in real life, loose batteries get dangerous when the contacts aren't protected, because one little short is all it takes to turn into a bad situation. And sometimes the short happens for the dumbest reason. The battery touches a key, a coin, or another battery. So forget the fancy wording, just remember 2 words: cover the contacts. If you still have the original packaging, great, use it. A hard plastic battery case is even better. And if you're in a pinch, a bit of tape over the contacts can save you. What doesn't work is tossing batteries into a little pouch where metal is free to bounce around. You might not mean anything by it, but from security's point of view, that looks like you're basically inviting a short circuit. And here's the part most people only think about when it's too late: the condition of the battery. If it looks swollen, cracked, leaking, dented, or like it's wrapped in tape because it's been through a war, you're basically signing up for a long conversation. Even if you're totally harmless, nobody wants a sketchy looking battery on a plane. The boring by the book move is still the best move. Keep each battery separate, cover the contacts, and only bring batteries that look normal enough that someone can trust them at a glance. All right, because right after this is something people swear is totally normal, right up until it gets treated like a fire risk anyway: cordless hair tools. Cordless hair tools get people because nobody packs them thinking this is risky. You pack them thinking, I can't show up looking like I took a nap in my trunk. But here's why they get attention. They're built to make heat, and they're powered by either a lithium battery or fuel. Heat plus battery is basically instant radar for security, especially with the newer 2025 to 2026 scanners that are better at spotting fire risk. And the big rule is simple: cordless hair tools belong in your carry-on, not in checked luggage. There are 2 types to watch. First, the cordless straightener or curler with a built-in lithium battery. The usual problem isn't that it's banned, it's that it turns on by accident. And you do not want a heating tool switching on inside your bag. The fix is boring, but it works. Power it fully off, use the travel lock if it has one, and put it in a case that covers the buttons. If it doesn't have a lock and the switch is easy to bump, don't toss it loose where something can press on it for an hour. Second, the butane or gas-powered kind. This is where you need to be extra careful. TSA rules since 2025 generally mean carry-on only, not checked, but airlines can stack their own rules on top, so it can feel slightly different depending on the airport. The biggest deal is this: no spare fuel canisters. If you pack refills, that's the kind of combo that gets the whole set pulled and held. So if your schedule needs to be drama-free, the safest move is honestly the least exciting one. Bring a corded tool. You plug it in, it works, and you're not standing there trying to explain it's just a hair tool while you're getting the full detective movie spotlight at the checkpoint. Electric toothbrush drama usually doesn't start at the scanner. It starts in the line, when your bag makes that tiny little psst. And yep, your toothbrush just turned itself on. Once there's something buzzing or vibrating inside a bag, security can't just wave you through. Not because electric toothbrushes are banned, but because from their angle, it could be something overheating, or something modified, or something acting weird. So they have to open the bag and confirm what it is. Your job is simple: don't let it turn on. If your toothbrush has a travel lock, use it. If it doesn't, pop the brush head off and pack it separately. Or put the whole thing in a hard case that covers the power button. Because one exposed button getting pressed for 10 minutes straight is enough to turn a basic hygiene item into a checkpoint performance. And don't forget the accessories: charging cases, UV sanitizer boxes, travel bases. On the scanner, Those can look like real electronics. They're usually allowed, but pack them as a clear set, brush with its case or base, so it's obvious what it is at a glance, and nobody has to play guessing games. Here's my little pre-TSA habit. It sounds silly, but it saved me more than once. Right before I step into the line, I do a quick tap on the side of my bag. If anything's vibrating, I fix it right there. I'd rather look dumb for 3 seconds than have my bag opened in front of a whole crowd. All right, next up. Oops doesn't really save you, because if you pack this wrong, you can lose the item and lose time. Vapes and e-cigarettes. A lot of travelers have this belief about vapes that sounds logical. It's tiny, like car keys. I'll just toss it in my checked bag and deal with it later. That's the mistake that hurts. Because the FAA doesn't see a vape as a cute little convenience item. They see what it actually is: a lithium-ion battery fire risk. And when those batteries fail, it's not mildly annoying. It's nobody wants this happening on a plane. So the rule is firm. Vapes and e-cigs stay with you in the cabin, either in your carry-on or on you. And if your bag gets checked or gate checked, your vape is the first thing you pull out. There's no worth the gamble exception here. Also, don't forget the liquid. Vape juice is still a liquid, so keep it sealed and leak-proof. Make sure it fits the carry-on liquid rules, and pack it the same way you'd pack shampoo. Clean, contained, obvious. Because you don't want to be at the checkpoint trying to wipe sticky liquid off a bottle while you're stressed and everyone's watching. But the biggest surprise for a lot of Americans hits after you land. You can fly with a vape legally in the US, touch down somewhere else, and lose it right at the airport. Thailand and Singapore are real examples where importing or possessing vapes is illegal. I've heard of someone landing in Bangkok and having it taken immediately, only because they never thought to check local laws. So if you're flying international, don't think TSA rules only. Think 2 extra layers: your destination's laws and your transit airport's rules. Sometimes the place you connect matters just as much as the place you're ending up. All right, after vapes, we're moving to something that lets you fly in the fun way, and also makes your money fly away fast if you mess it up. Drones and drone batteries. Everybody wants those epic overhead shots that make a trip look like a movie. But if you don't think through the battery part, bringing a drone can cost you a few $100 faster than any tourist attraction. A coworker told me this one. He flew into Atlanta, got to his hotel, opened his suitcase, and right on top was that little inspection notice. The drone body was still there. The spare batteries? Gone. So his cinematic travel footage instantly turned into cool story, no footage. Here's the key. Spare drone batteries are carry-on only, not checked. Basically the same deal as power banks. If the battery is over 100 watt-hours, or the watt-hour info isn't clearly readable, your chances of getting stopped go way up. So keep it simple and safe. Know the watt-hour rating before you even leave for the airport. Don't bring batteries that are swollen, damaged, dented, or on a recall list. And yeah, presentation matters. You want it to look like legit consumer gear, not something questionable. Third-party pro batteries get the most attention, not because they're automatically wrong, but because they're the ones most likely to be counterfeit, modified, or just suspicious looking on the scanner. That's when you get the, hold on, let me take a closer look treatment. The drone itself usually goes through fine, as long as you don't pack it like a garage project. Take the propellers off, protect the gimbal, secure it neatly, so if they open your bag, it reads as normal consumer drone, not personal engineering experiment. International travel can turn drones into a real headache. Morocco is known for confiscating drones if you don't have prior permission, and Egypt can also seize them, and you might not get them back. So before you toss your whole kit in a suitcase, check the rules for your destination. Sometimes the smartest move is renting locally, instead of dragging your whole flight crew across borders. And if you've ever had a drone or batteries taken, drop your story, what airport, what happened, Those stories help other people avoid the exact same expensive surprise. Alright, next up isn't illegal electronics, but it's the kind of stuff that looks like it's trying to hide. Hidden cameras and those little spy gadgets. This next group isn't always illegal electronics. It's more like electronics that look like they're trying to hide. I'm talking about those disguised camera gadgets. James Bond stuff. A pen with a camera, a USB wall charger, that's actually a camera, a fake car key, a keychain, even glasses with a camera built in. Why do these turn into a whole situation? Because they're designed to look normal on the outside while hiding a camera on the inside. And on an X-ray, that outside looks innocent, inside looks weird combo is exactly what makes them stop the belt. Once your bag gets opened, it's not casual anymore. You get the moment where they hold it up and go, "What is this?" And you need to explain it clearly. If you hesitate, or it looks homemade, you've just created the one thing security hates most: uncertainty. And uncertainty usually means it gets held, inspected longer, or taken just to be safe. So here's how you avoid it. Ask yourself one question. Are you really willing to stand there explaining this to someone in gloves while a whole line watches? If the answer is no, leave it at home. And if you genuinely need a wearable camera for something legit, like sports or action footage, make it look legit. Use a common consumer device, pack it like an actual camera, and have a simple, calm explanation ready. No attitude, no nervous energy. Alright, now let's talk about the item that tricks people, because it's marketed as airport safe, and still can get pulled right out of your tray. Rechargeable plasma lighters. This one tricks people because it's marketed like totally travel friendly. It looks sleek, there's no real flame, just that little electric arc, so it feels safer. But the core issue doesn't change. It's still a lithium battery device built to create serious heat. And battery plus heat is exactly what security stares at, especially with the newer 2025 to 2026 scanners that are better at flagging both batteries and thermal risk. Rule-wise, TSA generally allows plasma lighters, also called arc lighters, in carry-on only, not checked, as long as it's protected from accidentally turning on. But the final call is always the officer at that checkpoint. And with how sensitive screening is in 2026, I honestly wouldn't bring one, and hope for the best. If you do bring it, pack it like you're proving it can't turn on. Keep it in your carry-on, put it in a case, make sure nothing can press the button, and please don't sit there charging it on the plane. The most annoying part is the inconsistency. Someone gets through at one airport, then the same lighter gets taken at another. Like it slips by in Chicago, and 3 days later it's a problem in Denver. Same item, different checkpoint vibe. So, if you want zero drama, skip the rechargeable plasma lighter when you fly. Use a basic disposable lighter if it's allowed where you're going, or just buy something simple at your destination that won't turn into an argument at security. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of most travelers. Just remember one super simple rule for 2026. If it has a lithium battery, if it makes heat, or if it looks like it's trying to disguise what it is, it's way more likely to get extra attention at TSA. Before you head out, take 1 minute to do a quick sweep of your bag and check your airline's rules. And if you're flying international, check 2 more things: your destination's rules and your transit airport's rules too. That tiny habit can save you real money and a ton of time over something completely avoidable. If this video saved you from losing an expensive item, hit like and subscribe. And drop your most painful TSA story in the comments. What got taken, which airport, and how much it cost you. I read those, and honestly, your story might save someone else from getting hit with the same mistake on their next trip.